Hi there. Have you been confused by all the information that is available about nutrition? Have you ever thought to yourself, I want to be healthy, but I don't know how in this crazy world? If so, you're in the right place to learn everything you need to know about how you can be your healthiest self by improving your digestion. We'll learn how to make the easiest and healthiest sourdough bread to the truth about yeast and sugar. Join me each week and we'll talk about everything from junk food to your protein needs. We will even dive into some unspoken topics like, what is my bowel movement trying to tell me? Or how can my emotions possibly affect my digestion? For more information on how to be your healthiest self, visit us on healthyselfwithfood.com, where we provide resources including recipes, cooking classes, and coaching appointments. I believe to completely take care of your whole self, that it includes what you put on your body. So I'm very happy to introduce you to our amazing sponsor, Gervine Family Farms, where you can find the best smelling soaps and healing body products on the market. Gervine Family Farms is the home of all natural, real soap and body products that truly heal your skin. Do you regret washing your hands because after you do, your skin is dry and irritated? If so, try the healthiest soap on earth. It is made from coconut oil, essential oil for the smell, and herbs or spices for the soap color. All the ingredients are so healthy for your skin that you could eat them, but please don't eat the soap. It doesn't taste good. There are no fillers, synthetic dyes, fragrances, or low-quality oils. Real soap doesn't strip your skin of all your body's natural oils, thus requiring you to use lotion so that your skin doesn't completely dry out. Save money on lotion by using real soap, and you will never be able to go back to your fake beauty bars that you call soap. Find us at GervineFamilyFarms.com. That is GURVINE FamilyFarms.com.
Hello there. Today we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people are actually interested in, but many people don't talk about, especially in society, in polite company. But this is a very important topic of talking about our poop or our bowel movements and what our stools can tell us. And so I'm going to go through teaching you all about why this is important. And then we will probably have more than one episode on this so that we can go into even more detail. It is very fascinating and it is also very helpful in your health journey. So, poop is one of the most powerful indicators of health. Even if you feel a bit squeamish about talking about it, we're going to do it anyways today, because your poop tells a story about what is going on internally and is the gateway to understanding your digestive health. And I love doing digestive health stuff, and so it is time for us to figure out what our poop is telling us. A typical healthy stool is medium brown in color, well formed, and shaped like a banana. While this is the gold standard for poops, they will vary widely depending on your diet, your lifestyle, and your unique body type. And these are things that are specifically looked at by an Ayurvedic practitioner. They will assess your stools by their color, shape, size, odor, consistency, and frequency. And each of these factors reveals integral information about your internal health. And Ayurveda encourages each person to become actively involved in their own well-being and to learn how to recognize a healthy poop. And because of that, I want you to learn this so that you can just do it at home. It's not something where you even need to go to a doctor. It is really cool to learn from Ayurveda, which is what I have studied and became a digestive specialist through Ayurveda. And so I understand this and can definitely help anyone that is interested in reversing their health or helping their health or supporting their digestive system. But my ultimate goal is to teach you what it is you're looking for, what it is you need to do so that ideally you can take care of yourself all the time and then pass that down to your family and loved ones as well. So if I can help you and teach you how to recognize a healthy poop, you will be able to interpret what your poop is trying to tell you on a daily basis. So that's my main goal. While digestive disruptions do happen from time to time, consistently passing irregular or improperly formed stools can be a warning sign of more serious ailments in the future. So this is one of those really cool things where if you can figure out what it's trying to tell you now before you have a serious condition, you can prevent it. And so in this way, Ayurveda uses poop not only as a piece of diagnostic puzzle that we put together for each person individually, but also as a preventative measure. So for that purpose, I feel like this is super cool. So let's talk a little bit about how poop is formed. We're just going to go through the science just really quick for those of you that, you may already know some of this, but if you don't, it's really good to have a visual on how this stuff is working inside your body. So poop is created in and eliminated through the channel for feces. And then after food goes through the digestive process, so it goes through from your mouth to your stomach and then to your small intestines. And through this process, most nutrients have been absorbed. And then the remaining food waste enters your colon, which is part of your large intestines and the last part of it. And the colon separates all the parts of food that the body can't utilize. And it absorbs the last of the remaining nutrients, and particularly water. So as water is drawn out and absorbed into the colon, the remaining waste particles of food becomes a thicker, firmer consistency and takes shape as a stool. It is moved into the rectum for storage before peristaltic contractions stimulate its evacuation. The poop you pass is roughly 75% water, with the remaining made of bacteria, fiber, and anything else that the body couldn't digest. So at any stage of this process, right from the initial digestion in the mouth to the storage of the poop in the rectum, an imbalance can occur. So it's not always in the same place. It could be at any point from the mouth to the rectum. And it has a lot of space and area that it's traveling through and a lot of processes that are happening. The whole digestive tract must be working in sync to create and pass a healthy poop each day. So if you do have a healthy poop where it is banana sized, in length and sausage shape, and we're going to talk about all the details like airy versus thick or dry and lumpy or big and thin, and like all of that kind of stuff. But if you have a medium brown and all the categories that make it a gold standard poop, as they say, then you are functioning really well, and that shows that the whole digestive tract is working in sync. So that's a really good thing. So let's talk about what causes poop imbalances. And there are the four main things that can cause an imbalance in our poop. And the first and most important factor that will cause poop imbalance is your diet. And, what goes in must come out, as they say, but what goes into your body and digestive system is your personal food selection. And what comes out in the form of your poop is a direct result of these choices. So, you really are in control of how well your body can function based on what you put into your mouth. For your poop to be healthy and well formed, your digestive strength needs to be strong. And without a strong digestive strength or oomph, a wide range of poop imbalances tend to occur as the food is passing through the body without being adequately digested or remaining stagnant in the gut. And digestive strength is weakened if you are regularly eating a diet that is inappropriate for your body type or having difficult to digest food combinations in your meals. And overeating also greatly strains the digestive system and can hinder the elimination of a healthy poop. So that's the first area, is diet. And we're not going to go into all the details about diet because basically all of my other podcasts were breaking down all the different areas of diet. And you really have to choose where you need to focus and where you feel like you're falling short. Not that you're doing something wrong, but this is all about discovery in what our body needs to be in balance and what it's missing. So you'll definitely want to review some of the other health category podcasts to go into more detail on this. The second category of what can cause a poop imbalance is dehydration. And of course, this has to do with the water, but dehydration is another major factor that can lead to poop imbalance because the lack of water leads to a dry digestive tract. And a dry digestive tract lacks sufficient enzymes to break down your meal. And it leads to many other accumulation of digestive toxins and improperly digested food in your poop. So in other words, if your digestive tract is dry and it's leading to an insufficient or lacking enzymes to break down your food, then it leads to an accumulation of digestive toxins that are, it's almost like, gases and toxins and things are either released from the foods or from them sitting there stagnant in your stomach or in your intestines. They're not moving and being broken down properly. Then you are accumulating more toxins. And so that is not something that you want to happen. So we don't want to be dry. Now we will talk about the details of what to do about it later, but right now we're just talking about the causes. So the third cause is exercise. The quantity and quality of exercise will also impact your stools. So movement and regular exercise adds tone to digestive muscles, and it strengthens them, and it encourages peristaltic contractions and regular elimination. And the lack of exercise contributes to slower motility in the bowels and congestion and stagnation. So we're not saying that you need to have a super regimented exercise program, but what is happening is that there are a lot of people that don't have any movement in their life. Obviously people are moving. You're going to stand up, you're going to walk somewhere, but our body needs more than that. And so if we're making sure that we're having regular movement and so that we're getting those all of our muscles, all of our body parts moving, even if it's just through something as simple as stretching. It doesn't necessarily have to be yoga. Of course, yoga is a great way to do it. It's organized, and there's lots of teachers or people you can find that can walk you or lead you, guide you through the stretches you can do. And all of them are very, very helpful to the digestive system. So often it is recommended in Ayurveda to do specific yoga movements or stretches because it actually helps open up the digestive tract and move things around and get things more balanced. And so we're not talking about that you have to go and be running 10 miles and doing really strenuous things, but making sure that we're moving the body. And of course, we will talk about more of that in another podcast as well. But for today's purposes, just know that regular movement can really help with your bowel movements. The fourth area is your mental health. And your mental health plays a significant factor in the health of your poop, believe it or not. Because strong emotions such as anxiety, fear, or worry, they can cause tension and constriction in your body, and they cause you to hold on to your poop too long. Intense emotions like anger, frustration, or rage will weaken the digestive strength and can lead to poop being eliminated too quickly before the food has gone through the full digestive process. So I'm sure that it is possible that each one of you has experienced this at least once in your life. And it could be anything from being really nervous about something and having butterflies in your stomach. Maybe you have to speak, maybe it was the first time even in elementary school or, in school age time, all the way up to maybe when you started dating and you were nervous with butterflies then. Or maybe you play a sport or perform on stage or do something like that to where that you can't eat right before you're going to do that because you have experienced it and that those emotions affect your digestive system. You may not have put two and two together, realizing that mental health or emotions are directly tied to our gut or to our digestive tract. But anything that we feel that's intense, even if it's positive, you're really excited or you're really, being nervous about something, it's not necessarily a bad emotion, but it still constricts and affects our stomach and our digestive system. And that constriction, is what keeps you, like, if you've ever, played a sport, and especially if it has running or bouncing to some degree in it, thank goodness that works, right? Because if you started playing and all of a sudden in the middle of whatever sport you're playing, you're like, oh, excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom, because you had to go to the bathroom, that it would be terrible. Thank goodness our body shuts that down and kind of holds it in, knowing that we've got to finish that activity, that performance, that whatever that we're doing, and then we can go to the bathroom. But this is why having other emotions that are really intense and strong, that maybe aren't related to an activity that's positive, like a sport or a performance or something like that, can be detrimental to us because it is still affecting our digestive tract. So the next area that we are going to talk about is common ailments that tend to happen when it comes to bowel movements. So the first one's constipation. We've all heard of constipation, but let's talk a little bit more about exactly what it is. So passing roughly 1 to 2 bowel movements each day is considered normal, but this can fluctuate from person to person. So constipation occurs when the stools are passed infrequently, so sometimes as little as once per week, and often with great difficulty and even pain in some cases. Most commonly, constipation is a result of a dryness in the body. The stools that are eventually passed are dry, rough, hard, and dark in color, sometimes resembling rabbit pellets. This type of constipation is often teamed with uncomfortable gas and bloating. And constipation can also occur due to congestion and stagnation due to lack of mobility in the colon, or as a result of those people that have a strong digestion taking it for granted and eating a diet high in difficult to digest foods like fried food and red meat. And again, that's another topic that we will go into more specifically, talking about what are difficult foods, what are easy foods to digest. And again, my goal here is like teach you what's happening and then teach you how to solve it. And so there has to be a little bit of education in here for you to be able to get to the point where you can say, oh, I know what I need to do because I am eating difficult to digest foods. That means I want to eat easy to digest foods. Or I know that I have congestion and stagnation. Now I know what I need to do to balance that out. Or I know that I have dry constipation, and so this is what I need to do to balance it out. So the first and most simple remedy to relieve dry constipation is to sip hot water throughout the day. Now, it's not going to be so hot that you can't sip it, so some might consider this warm, but as hot as you can handle. Don't burn your mouth. And this will help rehydrate the digestive tract. It stimulates your oomph and your peristaltic contractions, which are very important for those muscles in there to be working properly to move the stools. You don't have to do any of this work, but we do have to support our system so that it can do the work. And we've talked in other podcasts about how important it is to drink room temperature water as opposed to cold and ice water. And as you can see here, as us talking about drinking hot water is even more relaxing to the digestive system and helps peristaltic contractions happen, which is super important. A mug of warm milk with ghee, that's hard to say, which is clarified butter, in the evening is also effective to moisten a dry digestive tract. And this encourages having a bowel movement. And sometimes we need that. We need a little bit of encouragement if it's not something that's been happening regularly. But your goal should be regular bowel movements. And we have lots of ideas and ways that you can do this. Some people like to use psyllium husk in a cup of warm water, and this acts as a demulcent that coats the digestive tract. It adds bulk and assists in passing the stool when constipated. So what happens is as that psyllium husk in the warm water, you'll see it expands to this like gelatinous matter. And when it goes into your digestive tract, it's going to actually like kind of cling to whatever feces and stool formation you have going on in there. And it's going to add the bulk. It's going to add more bulk to your stool so that it gets bigger. And the reason why that's important is because then as it travels through your intestines and especially through your colon, it is taking with it the toxins and the things that were pulled out of your food that your body doesn't want to have, and it's supposed to go into the stool. But if we're dry or we're constipated and things aren't moving correctly, that stuff can get caught. Because you got to imagine your colon and your other intestines are like I imagine they're muscle, but they have like folds in them basically, and you don't want stuff getting stuck in those folds, and those folds are there so that it can expand as needed, but otherwise when it's just down in its regular size, the folds are there for the possible need for expansion, right? And so like we're grateful that it's there, because otherwise it would hurt really bad if there was any change in size. But those folds, unfortunately, stuff can get caught in there if we don't have, like we're not regularly cleaning out our colon through regular bowel movements, or there are other ways like colon hydrotherapy or some of those other kind of treatments that you can do. Now, you don't want to do that on a regular basis to like be your bowel movement assistant. You want to find the way that you can do this on your own, because your body is made to do it, and only use those kind of treatments maybe once a year or twice a year. Just you'd have to talk to a specialist on that to assist you in like, okay, we need to get you cleaned out and then we'll start over. But then you support your system after that. So speaking of cleaning out your system, the next common ailment is diarrhea. And loose, liquid, or watery stools occur when the transit time of food through the bowels happens too quickly. So it happens before water can be properly absorbed. And unfortunately, that's really important that the water is absorbed. So in some cases, diarrhea is a defense mechanism the body puts in place to expel harmful invaders, such as bacteria, from food contamination, intestinal infection, or parasites. So in these cases, it's really important that you have the diarrhea because it needs to push out those toxins. But if diarrhea happens on a regular basis for you, then it's not a good thing, and we'll get into why. But so diarrhea can also occur if you are highly stressed. So remember those emotions that we talked about. Sometimes you probably notice that that's happened, where if you're really intense about something or highly stressed, about a job or a deadline or a project or something like that, it causes weak digestion. Well, you can have weak digestion. It can also cause it if you have it for long periods of time. And diarrhea can also happen if you're taking certain medications or eating the wrong foods for your body type. And diarrhea is most often caused as a result of inflammation and irritation to the intestines. So the first step to reducing diarrhea is to avoid further inflammation and eliminate irritants. So in these cases, we would want to maybe eliminate things like coffee, alcohol, spicy food, and nicotine, because these foods are classified as irritating. They're pungent, they can be sour, they can be really strong and sharp, and there's a classification for all foods. But these particular ones you would want to avoid because they do cause irritation to the digestive tract. Now, if you're super healthy and you partake of these things, it's not going to affect you the same way because the irritation is not going to cause the same problem. So you can add some cooling and astringent elixirs, such as pomegranate juice, which is super astringent. And so if you can imagine, like, I wish you could see my face, but like that sound where like it's like it like almost, it's squeezing in, it's constricting, and it's bringing things back together. And you do it with your mouth when you drink pomegranate juice because it's kind of sour and it kind of makes you pucker. So that's one thing. There's hibiscus tea, which is also an astringent elixir Doesn't quite taste or feel the same, but it definitely has the astringency. And there's also things like an anti-diarrhea tea. Now, that's a combination of certain herbs, especially Ayurvedic herbs. And so I won't go into detail about that. But the point is that there's things that we can do to help with this because they soothe the intestines and they encourage the absorption of water in the colon. And then this will reverse the diarrhea and cause you to have your stools bulk up again. Anti-inflammatories like aloe vera and coconut oil will help cool and calm aggravations of the intestinal linings. And both aloe vera and coconut oil have antimicrobial properties too. So that's really good. And you are at a great risk of electrolyte depletion when you're experiencing diarrhea. And so you want to make sure to stock up and rebalance your levels of electrolytes, and that can be done with fresh coconut water. There's also many other electrolyte type drinks that you can partake of, whether it be making one yourself, which we'll go into here in a bit, or buying one. Just make sure that you check the ingredients and that you're not dousing yourself with too much sugar or any preservatives or dyes or things like that. But the idea of electrolytes, which is your minerals, which we have a podcast on that, going into what your minerals are and how they need to be replenished, because electrolyte depletion just means that these minerals have gone out of your body. And in the case of diarrhea, they're just going out because they didn't have time to be absorbed. And so you need those minerals. Okay, the third area of a common ailment with the area of poop is undigested food in your stools. So if you've ever observed your stools, you might have noticed some undigested food particles. There are some usual suspects like sweet corn and certain nuts and seeds that are hard to digest. However, if you are regularly eliminating stools with undigested food, it may indicate your digestive strength is low and you may not be getting enough nutrients from the food you're eating, because clearly it's passing through you really quickly if it's not digested and you can see it, and therefore you're not getting the nutrients from it. So this is often a result of a digestive tract as well. And when the digestive tract is dry, there is a lack of digestive enzymes and food is being passed through the body without being adequately broken down. Undigested food in your poop can also be a result of not taking your time to chew your food. Eating in a hurry, eating on the run, stress, and poor routine. Now, we talk about some of these things in a recent podcast about mindful eating, and it just kind of spells out each one of these areas. But if I could tell you, it's important because having undigested food in your stools is a sign of malnutrition. You don't want that. And so that's why we talk about chewing your food better, not eating when you're in a hurry, or at least being calm feeling. It's okay, like, oh, I have a certain amount of time to eat, or I have to get somewhere, but not being stressed while we're eating. So the first step to improve digestion and reduce undigested food in your poop is to eat warm, well-cooked foods that are easy to digest. Foods like applesauce and khichdi are very easy on your tummy and can help rebuild your digestive strength. You might be asking, what is khichdi? And khichdi is typically made with mung beans and basmati rice. Those two foods put together are a perfect protein. I guess that's the best word for it. And they are one of the easiest foods to digest. And so together you're getting all the nutrients you need, which is what's really important when you're eating food. But you don't want to be eating something that's, easy to digest, but then, you're lacking some of your macronutrients or your micronutrients. So that's what's really beautiful about khichdi. And it is a Ayurvedic tradition. Lots of people may have been exposed to it, not realizing that. They may know it's Indian. They may know something about it. but many cleanses will be done that way. And it's just because, again, it's easy to digest, and then it has a bunch of really tasty spices that actually have medicinal values to add to your body for digestion purposes. And so it can really help rebuild the body, but it can also give the digestive tract a break. Sometimes if someone's doing it as a cleanse, they'll do it for like 3 to 5 or more days, and that's all you're eating. That's called a mono diet, though. If you do that, it really needs to be led by a professional that knows what they're doing about this. But I'm just kind of telling you the parameters. And in this case, I'm not suggesting that you do that. I'm just suggesting that khichdi could be a meal that you could have along with foods like applesauce. And again, we'll go into more easy to digest foods when we specifically talk about that in a podcast. Another thing you can do is about 20 minutes before meals is make a mug of warm water and put in a squeeze of fresh lime juice and a pinch of rock salt, Himalayan salt, pink salt, royal salt, any of those kind of salts that have the minerals in them. And when you drink this, it will moisten your digestive tract and stimulate the release of digestive enzymes. So this is like one of those boosts that you can do to really help get your digestive tract awake and doing what it's supposed to do and building up more digestive enzymes so it can break down your food even easier. Digestive comfort support tea is a combination, again, of Ayurvedic herbs that are amazing, that help combat a dry digestive tract and bring a healthy supply of blood to the digestive organs so they have adequate fuel to create a healthy poop. And again, there's not time for me to go into that today, what that tea involves, but we'll find a time to get you that information, whether it's us working one-on-one together and I give that to you if it's something that you need, or we do another podcast on it specifically. Okay, so getting familiar with your poop each day is one of the most important habits you can form to care for your body. So that's why this is such an important topic. Once you learn how to read your poop, it can answer many of the questions you have about your health. It can even show some possible warning signs for future imbalances, allowing you to work preventatively. If you want to get used to analyzing your poop on your own, the best thing you can do is keep a poop journal and note your findings for a few weeks. And I'll go into detail about how you can do this. But this alone may reveal something significant, or you can take this information to an Ayurvedic consultation for a full assessment. I do digestive assessments, and soon I will be a practitioner. I'm actually currently working on that, just because I find this so interesting that I want to keep doing more work in this area. I've seen the help that it can give people, and I love that it's like a teaching mode that is teaching people how to take care of themselves. I suggest keeping a poop journal to give your bowel movements the attention they deserve. With this practice, you'll soon develop great body awareness. By tracking changes in your bowel health and correlating them with the food you've eaten, you'll become an expert at making healthy food choices for your unique body and digestion. So I would like to walk you through how you would keep a poop journal. There are 7 things that you're going to want to record. The first one is bowel routine. The second one is color. The third one is smell. The fourth one is texture. The fifth one is quantity. The sixth one is floating. And the seventh one is food. So we will go into detail on each one of these items. And so the first one is bowel routine. And let's talk about what your routine is. Are you eliminating daily or once every couple of days? So that's part of what you're going to want to record. You're going to note the time of your bowel movements as well. Ideally, you have a bowel movement within an hour of waking. Anything less is considered constipation in Ayurveda. If you don't defecate upon waking, you want to be mindful of the level of physical activity you engage in until you do relieve yourself. Otherwise, as stool sits, it begins to rot. If you exercise before pooping and your heart rate goes up, You will absorb more toxins from your stool as blood circulates more strongly. So, this is an important thing to understand because you could be thinking you're doing the right thing by exercising first thing in the morning, but if you aren't on a regular schedule of eliminating before you go to the gym or do something like that, you're actually not doing yourself any favors. So, your intestines are like sponges and they'll soak up toxins as readily as they soak up nutrients with the increased blood flow. If daily elimination doesn't happen naturally for you, you may be dehydrated, have low metabolism, or intestinal atrophy. Dryness in the GI tract is a common cause of fecal backup. Making sure you're well hydrated, especially before a meal, and adding good quality oils to your food can nip this in the bud. For low metabolism and cold digestion, cook with warming spices like ginger and black pepper to heat up your GI. Regular meal times support regular elimination. So consider that there are some natural herbs that you can take that act like a laxative. I'm not suggesting you take a laxative, but if your bowels lack tone, that might be a type of herb that could help. Or you can increase your dietary fiber intake to stimulate your bowels. Twisting yoga postures and forward folds can help move things along. And if you're eliminating too often, it may be due to a fast metabolism, too much oil and spices in your cooking, or irritation of the bowels. With fewer oils in your diet, you'll produce less bile in your liver, a known laxative and bowel irritant. Reducing spices will reduce irritation in your gut. Slow down your metabolism with nurturing, cooling, soothing foods like homemade tapioca pudding or cucumber blended in milk. Okay, so that is the bowel routine. So those are just some examples, but in your journal you would write down what your routine is, what time of day that you eliminate. The next category that we want to record is the color. So this is where we're going to do a little bit of training and educating here. So after noting the date and time, you'll want to examine the hue of your poo. That's a little rhyme. The color of stool is generally due to a combination of bile and bowel transit time. Bile comes from the breakdown of red blood cells and is used by the liver to help in fat digestion. It is the brown color of bile that gives stool its characteristic color. Cinnamon brown colored stools are normal and indicate the bowels are neither fast nor slow. So that's the color you want to look for, is cinnamon brown. When a stool exits the bowels too quickly, the bile doesn't have time to change to a brown color. So a yellow stool is usually soft and indicates medium fast bowel transit time. Yellow or gray stool may also indicate fatty stools from insufficient bile production. Fatty stool indicates a weakness in the liver or pancreas. If your bowel movement is green, you either ate a lot of green veggies or bowel transit time is very quick. A dark brown or black stool hint at dryness in the GI. If you're passing coffee grinds, you may have an upper GI bleed. When bleeding happens in the upper GI, the body digests the blood as it moves downward, which changes the appearance of the blood into dark brown granules resembling coffee grinds. Fresh blood on the stool means your colon is bleeding. This can be due to irritation, a hemorrhoid, colitis, Crohn's, or other conditions. Any internal bleeding can cause serious problems like anemia and should be addressed immediately. So in this category of color, you just want to write down the color, and it's all in comparison to cinnamon brown. So if you've never had the cinnamon brown, hopefully you just kind of know what color that is, or if you have had that, and then you notice changes like, oh, it's a little bit greener today, or it's a little more yellow, or it's really, really dark, then we'll know what that means for what's going on inside of your body. The next area to take note of is the smell. An earthy smell is natural, but a foul odor indicates fermentation and toxicity. And the worse the smell, the worse the toxicity. Stinky gas tends to accompany foul-smelling stools. You might also find you have bad breath and body odor along with your noxious dump, as some of the toxins are likely to be absorbed into your body. And I was just laughing because, we use that term, especially if you have boys in your family, a noxious dump. Here you'll need to detox by eating khichdi for a few days and sipping warm herbal teas. Some natural herbal laxatives like Triphala might help clean you out. But we would want you to consult with an Ayurvedic practitioner to see what the best approach is for you. So the main thing here is just to record what the smell is. And again, that's in comparison to an earthy smell, which is totally normal. I mean, poop always stinks. Like, it's not like, ooh, yummy, it smells so good. But we want to know if there's like really foul and extra stinky. And it's just telling us the toxicity level. The next category that you would be recording is texture. And so if your feces are sticky, meaning they stick to you, so like your bum or the toilet, they're likely toxic and could benefit from the above detox measures that we just mentioned. So khichdi, herbal laxatives, or sipping warm herbal teas. Liquid stools result from unhappy intestines. Remember, that means that your stools aren't spending the time that they need to in your intestines. And so we know that the intestines are unhappy. They may be irritated and need to purge. You might have inflammation in your GI tract, or you could have parasites. Muddy poop is acidic. It burns coming out and stinks. The message conveyed here is too much fermentation in the gut. Your bacteria balance may be off, or you may be eating too much heavy, difficult to digest food. This scenario causes food to stagnate and rot in the intestines, making it noxious rather than nutritious. So if your feces look like clay, this is another indication of bile deficiency. You may want to encourage bile flow with more bitter foods like dandelion greens and aloe vera gel, or with sour taste like lemons and limes. Or you may need to nourish your liver's strength to produce bile with there are things like a liver nourish support tonic. Again, this is a combination of Ayurvedic herbs that can help with this specific situation. If your poop has cracks on the surface or breaks apart, it's likely old and dry. And laxative herbs like Triphala might help keep things fresh. Pellet poop is due to dryness. Dryness can wreak a lot of havoc on digestion. Pellets are often difficult to pass and can cause you to strain while eliminating. Over the long term, this can lead to complications like hemorrhoids or colon prolapse. Ease your excretion with more good quality oils in your diet, hydrating with warm water and possibly a stool lift to lift your feet up when you're on the toilet in a squatting position. Sometimes they call it a squatty potty. Will help with this. A pencil thin poop means there's inflammation or swelling in the colon, and so it constricts the amount of space there is for the poop to come out, and so then it's like really thin, and you'll want to get to the bottom of that. If your feces look like a veggie burger, you're eating too much insoluble fiber, and we will have a podcast on fiber, so we can go into more detail about insoluble and soluble fiber. A smooth surfaced poop is the holy crap you're looking for. This bowel movement gets a gold star. So that's just kind of making a joke about what the texture should be like in comparison to the other ones that we talked about. So then there is quantity. So voluminous or frequent bowel movements may be the results of lots of veggies or insoluble fiber in your diet. If that's not the case, if you're not eating like a ton of veggies, you might not be absorbing much nutrition from your food, and you want to remedy that. So in other words, a lot of volume to your poop isn't necessarily a good thing. Sometimes people think, oh, sweet, I cleaned myself out. But if too much is coming out, it means that your body's not taking that time to absorb the nutrients, and maybe there is a lot of insoluble fiber in there from something else. If it's from veggies, then that's okay, but again, that's a detail we could talk about. You might opt for more easy to digest foods like soups and stews, as well as digestive herbs like ginger and black pepper. And then floating. So if your poop sinks, it's likely toxic. People always ask that. What does it mean if my poop sinks, or what does it mean if it floats? So if your poop sinks, it's likely toxic. A floating, smooth banana is the ideal bowel movement. The fiber in your poop is what makes it float. So toxins weigh it down. Fat also floats. So if your stools have too much fat in them, they will float. So again, those are things that we just want to look at. But there's other signs to the fat, like an excess amount of fat in your diet. If that's the reason why it's floating, and usually it's like it looks oily, or there's like oil like actually in the toilet that kind of comes off of the poop. Anyways, so typically though, floating poop is the way you want to go. And lastly, in the food category, you want to guesstimate the original food contained in your stool. Are you looking at yesterday's breakfast, lunch, or dinner? If you're seeing lots of undigested food in your stool, you're either not absorbing nutrients, you're eating too much insoluble fiber, or you ate something that doesn't agree with you, and you're not chewing enough. Look for patterns in your poop though. If every time you eat quinoa, it comes out looking like quinoa, then your body probably doesn't like quinoa, and it needs you to prepare it differently. So maybe cook it more. It's going to be specific to each person if there's something that comes through your poop. We mentioned earlier that there was some culprits that are pretty regular, like corn, and it's just because like the skin on the outside of a corn kernel, like you're eating corn on the cob, doesn't tend to break down. And so that's one of those things where you just need to chew it better, but it's so easy to just like kind of chomp down once and then swallow with something like corn, because it swallows nicely and goes down smoothly and stuff, but then it stays in that whole form. So if you do see something like quinoa or something else, whether it's lettuce or it could be anything, because each person's different with what their body may not be able to break down, or you may be breaking down everything, and so you're perfectly fine. But now you have the tools to keep tabs on your poop. So you can fill out, a journal, a chart, something that kind of keeps track of when you see something unusual in the toilet. You could take a picture of it if it's something that you were working with a practitioner and they want to see specifically what it is. I don't personally love looking at poop pictures, but obviously that is something that could be helpful if someone's having a hard time describing it, or they want to be really accurate like with what the color is or whatever. But pay attention to any digestive upsets, like how your stomach feels, and inspecting your poop empowers you to become a master of your own digestion. As gross as it kind of might sound, it's just that like it's part of you and it's how you operate. And once you can really understand how that works, you don't have to continue to always be looking at it, inspecting it. But if you can just become familiar with your patterns, and then if there's something that could be changed about them to get you on a healthier path, you're able to do that. And it's really easy to, diagnose it through the poop. The poop tells us the whole story. While there are a number of reasons the production of poop can become imbalanced, diet is usually the biggest culprit. And the best ways to ensure you have healthy and regular elimination is to follow a diet that is right for your body type. And I understand probably at this moment you don't know what your body type is, but that is where I come in, and I can tell you what kind of body type you have if we work together. The second thing is to stay hydrated. The third thing is to strengthen your digestion, which I also do, and to introduce regularity and routine into your daily life. And this is something that we talk a little bit more about in some of the other podcasts, but just to understand that the digestive system works on a clock, and it thrives when it follows a consistent schedule. And so if you're able to eat your meal times at the approximately same time every day, or have some sort of routine, whether it's, it doesn't have to be the same time as everyone else, but for you and your routine, then your body will get used to that. When you go to bed, when you wake up, when you exercise, when you eat, when you drink, all these things are really important to your body getting used to you and how you operate. So just remember, you are what you eat, and don't poop. So start giving your poop the attention it deserves. Talk to you later.
To be your healthiest self, join me each week as we talk about a new topic that can help you, your family, and your loved ones in your life to be your healthiest self.